Good first day?
Real good.
Great. Maybe tomorrow you go get Christian Bale. We'll let him execute a cinematographer if he wants.
See you later.
All right. As folks can see, thank you, Tyler Durden, to start the show with a positive note. Not sure what is going on. I think there's a time zone mix-up. Don't really know, but hopefully soon we'll get Mark on. I'm going to hang out with everybody for a few. We'll see whatever we can come up with. Nothing awkward about this situation, but yes, it is always frustrating. Mark is back in California from Arizona. I have a pretty funny feeling that he's used to coming on at 3:30 in Arizona for the past month or so, and it's 2:30 in California. So he has probably had his phone turned off or whatever else he does before the show. And guess what? We got the surprise. So don't know what else we can do on it, but let's go ahead and look at one thing. We can break some news right now. Chad already has been breaking it. Alec Baldwin finally hands over his phone. It's only taken him, what? Well, let me see. The warrant, I think, was the 12th of December, so a month and change. But hey, what are you going to do? Good times. Alex got his phone. So while I'm waiting, because I do like to banter back and forth with Mark as much as possible, and we have some stuff that's coming out today he's done a lot of research on overnight. So I have the pictures, he's got the story. Without one, it's not the other. So how about you guys ask questions, and I'll do my best to pinch hit and answer. And I don't know, there may even be a fill-in guest temporarily too. You never know. I'll try to pull, some sort of magic out of my hat and see if there's anybody entertaining at all who can fill in while we're waiting for Mark. Can I sing? I cannot sing. I absolutely cannot. It would be really, really horrible. And yeah, Gavin, there are questions. Is the CIA holding this purple cup? Not sure. I think that you'll find that anything's possible. Everyone is aware that Sirhan is, well, he's stuck in prison until his, 16th or 17th parole hearing. So we have that going on right now. UPenn, Connecticut. Is that t-shirt in the merch store? It absolutely is. And you can look in the description. I have a link to merch. Feel guilty selling merch right now, but absolutely it is. And holy cow, we got Viva Frei.
Okay, if I look terrible, it's because I just got off the treadmill. Who remembers Jerry Curl from Coming to America?
Oh, God.
My hair, when it's wet, and I put some argan oil in it in my beard as well. So it is like straight up Jerry Curl. If I could do the commercial. I could do the commercial for it.
Well, Linda, I do have a P.O. box. If you go to my website, there's a contact form, and I'll reply with that information. I don't have it posted at this point, but I'll be happy to send that to you. So erichunley.com, there's a contact form. Please go ahead. I'm just putting out for some Q&A. And while I have you, we can also look over the Hannah Gutierrez Reed.
Ooh, let's see.
Lawsuit.
It's someone is suing Hannah Gutierrez.
No. She is suing Seth Kinney. Now, Seth Kinney is PDQ Arms and Props.
Oh yeah, no, I remember who Seth Kinney is. Now, I first time I'm hearing about this, I want to guess the nature of the lawsuit. She did not sustain any physical damage. I'm thinking it's going to have to be defamation.
Nope. It's psychological damages.
Psychological distress of having been thrown under the bus.
No.
Oh, she's going to be blaming him for being responsible for the live rounds being in the dummy ammunition, and that therefore she is suffering damages because of his negligence. Okay, all right.
So there you go.
Not crazy. I wouldn't take the lawsuit myself, but
Let me see.
now hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go tweet this out and let
Cool.
worse. My wife's gonna kill me when she gets home.
Oh, good.
Live with Eric Hunley, spontaneous filling in for
Lord Buckley.
Yeah, Lord Buckley. Lord Buckley. Oh, come on in here. Come on in.
Yeah,
let's how long is the lawsuit? Maybe I'll do this for tomorrow.
24 pages.
Okay, there's probably a lot of filler in there. Okay, let's see this.
All right, so we can go through here, and you can tell me which way you want to go and everything. But we've got her counsel record, Jason Bowles, and I'm actually reaching out to them. I want to see if I can interview him. I keep getting bottles, so I want to see if I can interview all the different players. And that's a little hint of things to come, folks. There may be some interviews coming down the pike. Maybe. We're working on it.
I'm the Canadian lawyer, people, so I don't pretend to have the expertise. What I do here is I just look at the district, look at the parties, look to see who counsel is, and then maybe do a brief Google on counsel. But we don't yet have any judge or anyone appointed, so we're just in the 2nd Judicial District, San Bernardino or Bernalillo County. Okay, so let's see this. We go nature of the case. Okay, the parties. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and only her as a plaintiff. Seth Kenney and only PDQ. My goodness, it's interesting why she would not also be suing. I mean, you would have thrown Alec Baldwin in there as well, because even if there was negligence on PDQ's part, so too would there be on Alex.
How could she, though? Because technically, if we read through the suit, and let me go find the points of relevance here, she's claiming that she's a key props. It goes into her role.
Yeah.
Independent contractor for the position of armorer. It's a gun-heavy Western script, and the guns needed on 10 of the 12 film days leading up to October 21st. And she was paid approximately $7,500 for both jobs. That's one of those questions too. She's very, very low paid. There's a new player here too.
Days of work, though. How many days of work for that $7,500?
About a month.
Okay, that's not, and you can't do anything while you're doing that. So it's not like
no. And keep this in mind too, that these people they do a film, and then they have no work for 6 months. So they're not getting rich.
No, but there's not getting rich, and that's if it were at least, I mean, at most a month, one thing, but the way Baldwin was describing it, it was 2 months, and if she's there for the entire 2 months and not for specific segments, that's $7,500
for 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So imagine only one.
So I mean, it's going to lay it out. It's going to say who the prop company was, the nature of the relationship, what the prop company's role was in all of this. Which, Eric, if you've read it, do I look pale compared to you?
Yes. But that is the virtuousness of your soul.
No,
pushing out the poisons from your treadmill.
Let me see something.
Let's see if I can go a little wider here.
Let's see if it's me or if it's the cat. Okay, no, it's just the camera. Stop stroking your beard. It's very distracting. I'll think about that, Gina. Okay, so I will. I need a massage. I need to massage the argan oil in so it stays soft. Okay.
All right, so I'm trying to find the salient points here. We're
going to go through dummy round versus drill round, or the different types of rounds. Okay, so we know there's blank, there's dummy. What's a drill round or drill round? Okay.
Well, okay, there are the dummy rounds where everything has been removed, and there's no primer, and they put a BB inside, bullet back together. You shake it, shake. You hear a BB. Okay. There's another variant of that, which is where they drill a hole in the side, dump out all the powder, have the primer, again, shot so it doesn't go off. So both are there. The drill round is actually, they were involved in what killed Brandon Lee. And what happened with that is, I can describe the process. In the drill round, you want to have the primer already shot off, right? So there's nothing coming out. And then you drain out the gunpowder or whatever it is, and then boom, it doesn't work. It doesn't fire. However, with the Brandon Lee situation, from what I understand from Insider, essentially it was a drill round, but they didn't get rid of the primer. The primer is still there. And then when it was up inside the barrel, the hole was clogged. So there was enough pressure for the rounds, for the quote dummy round to actually go into the barrel. And a couple of them did that. So they're sitting there in the barrel. Everybody's looking around the ground going, what's going on? Looking for the bullets, trying to see what's going on. Didn't see anything. And then it was time to use some blanks to get the noise. Put a blank in. Blank hits bullet. Bullet hits Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee's dead.
I mean, that if you want to talk about a 1 in a billion, that's 1 in a billion. I mean, that's if that's actually what happened, and I've grown so cynical that maybe I think I don't even know if that's the official narrative, but that's
there's
one in
a lot of things because his father Bruce Lee died, and there's a big mystery there about that. So there was big conspiracy about Brandon, sure, but I think it makes sense that did occur that way.
Well, I mean, especially that is forensically determined, able to be determined. That's and it's pretty clear. I mean, infinitesimal chances it's getting struck by lightning. But when Baldwin comes out and says, this is a 1 in a million or 1 in a billion chances, much different than the Brandon Lee situation. This is not that unlikely if 7 of 50 bullets are live rounds and someone is firing off the gun without, double checking that.
Right. But then where did they come from? And this is where it gets really, really interesting. So here you have the definition here. And now here's the claim. Sarah and Hannah. Sarah is Sarah Zachary, and she is the prop master. Both of them are 24, so pretty young. Now I don't know if that's relevant. Fine, they're young, but it's a new position. And do I say Jan Benson?
I would say Jan. Oh yeah.
Hey, Mark is responding.
I might be getting a tan one of these days, people. Is Mark texting you?
Yeah, I just got word from Mark.
He'd better be drunk. If he's not drunk, this is not going to be excusable. Like, okay, never mind.
You say I changed the time. It's been 5:30. Okay, whatever. What? Anyway,
so keep going. So. What were you just saying? Oh, about how the bullets got there. Well, okay, tell us the mystery of how the live rounds got there. But I'm wondering if she's not going to be.
There he is.
This was all a ploy. This was a ploy to get me in the middle of the Mark and Eric sandwich.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. You caught us. All right, Mark, we're going through the lawsuit. I speculate you were still on Arizona time. I don't know what happened.
Well, usually we're at 3:30 Pacific
in Arizona. Time. No, 3:30, 2:30 Pacific, 3:30 Arizona.
Oh, all right. Well, a little disoriented by current events.
Yep, Sirhan in the work. So anyway, we're going through the warrant. I mean, I found a lawyer to talk with us about the warrant anyway, so haven't missed a whole lot. I know you read up on it earlier. Thoughts?
On the lawsuit? I haven't had a real chance to go through it. I'm not an attorney. That's why I bring guys in from Canada to look at these things.
You bring in the Canadian civil commercial litigator to look at
American criminal law. Exactly.
We spare no expense flying you in from Montreal.
I can unpack it. Scroll down here, Eric, a little bit just to because the issue is going to be the provenance of the live round. So let's see what she says about this. That's not going to incriminate her for not doing her own proper due diligence.
Right. Here's where we're getting into it. He and the company distributed dummies and boxes with the label saying dummy rounds, 45 long or 45 long Colt. And within each box is a tray of 50 cartridges, 10 columns of 5 individual dummy rows. Now, there's some confusion on this. Again, one of my bottles came in, and there were rounds that came from PDQ, but there were also rounds that came from Billy Ray. And Billy Ray is out of Albuquerque, and he's another prop house and filling in some of the blanks. I think we're going to have a Winston appearance here pretty soon.
What?
Yeah, I see David ran off.
Oh, I was reading the lawsuit. Okay.
But, I tell you, like it's separation anxiety. I go downstairs and he starts to bark. That's right. Did you miss him?
Oh, look at that look how she loves him. Look at that love. Oh, what a face. Look at that punum. Look at that.
The other one is I can't bring down quite as often because she poops and pees everywhere. All right. Sorry.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that there's already some discrepancy here because I know that PDQ had certain rounds, and Billy Ray was also supplying rounds to it. And Billy Ray is another prop house in Albuquerque, I believe. So
Mark,
I'm not sure. And we had the long Colt versus the 45 long. So these are different rounds for different types of pistols.
is there any protocol in the industry, Mark? You probably know this better than anybody. Is there any protocol when you're doing a movie that you only get prop bullets from one prop company so that you don't have these issues of mixing and matching and not being able to identify?
Okay, so just my opinion on this thing. This movie, obviously a Western, blew off a lot of rounds, way more than regular films, obviously, because there's no shootouts. Westerns may have to go to multiple prop houses for multiple guns, multiple dummies, multiple everything, simply because in a regular movie, if you look at a crime drama, you may have one scene where there's a shootout, David. You know what I mean? In this thing, there were dozens of shootouts if you read the script. And when
10
they do
of
have
the last 12 days, I think it was.
No, but even earlier. I mean, there was you need a lot of bullets in a Western. I mean, to answer that question, you need a lot of guns. Every single person, if you think about even the background people have some sort of gun, even as a prop, David. You know what I mean? Like they have to at least look like they have dummy rounds in their belts. They have to look like they have prop guns in their belts, even if it's not part of the shootout. And in this thing, I think there were over 100 extras, right, Eric?
Oh, there's tons of extras, and
right.
And that morning, and there's a lot. There's starting to be more and more about it. They just sat there all morning long filling gun belts, you know, just with dummies all over.
It's a federal project.
But when they're having shootouts, the shootouts that they're having are not live rounds. The shootouts that they're having are
they were blanks. They were blanks.
And so, do we know? And I don't know if you guys have mentioned this or if it's come out, but the accidental discharge that the guy who complained about the conditions had brought
that was a blank.
It was a blank. Okay,
that was a blank. Yeah, and that does happen. Again, this is not bizarre. I mean, there are accidental discharges, and if there's no projectile, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? It's just a loud explosion. You know, when they prepare for a shootout, people will put in ear stoppers and they will prepare for a shootout. That is true. So there is some, preparation for a big shootout, but an accidental discharge, shit happens. What are you going to say?
Yeah. And I mean, it'll startle everybody, but yeah, that's about it on that. All right. So where we have the fallout situations, essentially, and we don't know the full relationship, but I think there's something, there's a previous relationship between Seth, Thel Reed, and by extension, Hannah. So I know that Seth and Thel have at least worked together on different sets, and he was working with Hannah on this set, or at least supplying some of the guns and a lot of the ammo. And this is the fun part, is it gets into the gossipy stuff. Within 15 to 20 minutes of the accidental discharge, they had a conflict with each other and having, I guess, a text war where they were going back and forth.
Eric, read. I'm going to read paragraph 31. On October 16, 5 days prior to the tragic shooting, Sarah had an accidental discharge firing around at her foot. So I don't know why the direction would matter when it's a blank, but within 15 to 20 minutes,
because they pointed the gun down, they wanted to see what was in the chamber, and they pointed it to the ground, which was proper etiquette, and it didn't shoot them in the foot, or there would have been an ambulance, David.
Right.
They pointed the gun down, which is what you're supposed to do, and pull the trigger. And
she might have been loading it at the time.
Right.
Too,
Right.
Okay. So within 15 minutes, there's another accidental discharge. A Baldwin stunt double?
Yes.
So they have two accidental discharges. How are they? Okay, but they're referring to this as an accidental discharge. Someone's pulling the trigger, and there's blanks in the barrel.
Well, read the last line of number 31, David. Read the last line of 31.
As confirmed by LA Times on November. The last line.
Thank you. Why are they the mavens? The LA Times are the mavens, David?
When you tell me what
you're citing newspaper sources for your lawsuit.
Good point.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. No, but I see. No, see, okay, that's not the way I would have read it. I would have read it as it's her testimony, but she's citing the article as though it makes it more authoritative. I think she has firsthand knowledge of.
But couldn't they cite the
Why
sheriff?
wouldn't she say I had firsthand knowledge? I was within 15 feet of the discharge. I was talking to the person when the discharge went off.
True.
They're completely referring to LA Times press releases.
That's a good point, and it could have been goofing off.
Yeah.
Who said that the stunt double didn't go, hey?
No, I'm questioning the veracity of the entire event. I'm questioning the veracity of the entire event. I mean, if I'm the attorney on this, why would I take the LA Times verbatim? Were you there? No. Was there?
All right, no. Okay, fair enough. But then it says 32 that she confronted Sarah on her accidental discharge, wanted to know what had happened. Yeah. Okay, so it could be totally a lie, but presumably if she confronted Sarah, she knew about it, had hearsay knowledge, but was confirmed by Sarah when they had the discussion. Okay, but either way, so we did hear that there was an accidental discharge on the set from that other guy who complained about his hotel room. Now we're just hearing that
Lane Looper.
Oh, Looper, yeah.
So now we're saying that there might have been two. They might have been within short order of each other. I'm just questioning how you have two.
Right, but again, what does this have to do with her getting live rounds from Seth Kenney? These are discharges of blanks having nothing to do with Seth Kenney.
True. Well,
it's like a guy fell off the ladder and I bought the ladder from Seth Kenney. Okay, it's a default ladder. But what is this? These discharges have to do with him?
Okay, but we'll see where it goes. Not having read on, but presumably
we'll keep looking. I mean, this is an interesting thing. It's another suit. We've got 6 now, right?
Yeah, no, she's going to argue that there were other negligent errors there, but this error of negligence is a different one entirely than the main one, which was the live round. So this is unsafe set, which would not necessarily inculpate PDQ, but maybe just the set at large.
Well, it could also. Here's the problem with her saying all this: isn't she implicating herself? Possibly a little bit. If she's the armorer and she's in charge of the weapons and blah 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 blah. She and Sarah worked together in the same department. Sarah was her boss. And you'll see here while we're talking about it, this led to this heated text exchange between Seth and Hannah over Sarah's quote accidental negligent discharge and the reporting of it.
Right. Look at the last line of 34 on page 6. Seth also falsely accused Hannah of using derogatory language about Sarah 3 times on the set. Now, here's a guy who's never been on the set. He's in another city. Again, what does this even mean?
This is crazy.
Thank you.
Sarah falsely accused. Oh, no. Maybe she's going towards the sabotage angle, that there was bad blood on the set. Someone slipped a live round into the gun because of some quibbles. I don't know. I haven't read on past this point. I don't even have this lawsuit. Okay. But maybe.
But here we go. But what's the relevant of this? Like,
what's the derogatory language?
Well, and then he's calling Officer Troy Tesk saying that he didn't want to work with her again. Again, does that matter? Now, I guess this is establishing that they're mad at each other, but I don't know where it goes on this suit.
Yeah, this is Mean Girls in Rust.
Yeah.
But I want to know why 3 times is in quotes, and I want to know what the derogatory language was. I mean, because there's levels to the derogatory language that one could expect.
I don't know.
And again, what does it have to do with the price of tea in China? I mean, you're talking about the whole suit is about live dummy rounds being shipped by this guy's company to a woman who didn't know there were live dummy rounds. Now we're talking about derogatory texts.
Mark, do we do role playing here? Who wants to be the gray?
Okay, look at 39 on page 7. Sarah has since acknowledged in a report to the LA Times by the LA Times on November 20th.
Before you go there, you got to go back to that text. I see a child coming downstairs. You're not even my kid. Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's do the text.
Accidental. Okay, I got to do the blue because I already have my voice in mind.
Okay, so you're Hannah. Hannah is blue, I think.
Oh, then your David is blue. I'm black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is SD? Sarah. Who is
Seth,
SD?
That's Seth, I think. I don't know. It says Seth on the top.
Okay, so accidental discharges are accidents. A mistake is where the armorer provides a gun and full load ammo to be fired with a horse in the vicinity. Will you tell production about that? We learn and move on, and don't forget, she's your boss. Don't push it. Okay. So she's complaining about Sarah to Seth, and Seth, the mentor, Eric, he's the
Yes.
mentor, remember?
Uh-huh.
Is advising his protege on how to act on a set. I could buy that.
And now
All
this
right.
is Hannah,
Hannah?
responding, and I'm Hannah.
Yes.
Excuse you? What mistakes do you think I'm making? Will I tell production about what? What? You think I'm some effing rat or something? You think I'm running to production to tattle? You have me fucked up, Seth. I don't understand this. If she doesn't like me when I barely said anything about it, you can come back and finish the show. I'm not going to stay where I am effing problem. A effing problem.
Okay, so she's having problems with Sarah, from what I gather, who's the prop master, who comes on late in the show, and for reasons of budget or whatever, they make Hannah read the assistant prop master while being the head of another department, that being the armorer. So she's immediately embittered by the fact she's got to work for Sarah Taylor. What's the last name? Taylor, Eric?
She's Zachary.
Sarah Zachary. So I guess she's bitching over the period of days with Seth, who's a family friend, who's a friend of her father's, who supplied the most of the ammo and guns. This is, I guess we're just jumping into the middle of a long text chain that goes on for a couple of days here, is my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and even this is kind of interesting because I'm reading that, and just in there, accidental discharges are accidents, a mistake. So he's calling her out on that and saying, what are you doing? And that's a question I have coming up, Mark.
What?
Her own statements, and they're in here, we'll get to them, about loading the gun, Alec's gun.
Right.
Why did she have to do 6 rounds in it when a cowboy load is 5? And that weapon, everything we looked up is 5. It's like she made a special point of it. And that's what he said earlier. Remember, he said a fully loaded gun around a horse. So that could imply that, hey, you're putting too many rounds inside that weapon and a blank could go off. I don't know, but
I don't know. I think that you use the five round cowboy load up until your time that you're ready to actually have the shootout, and then put in the 6th round, which is what she did after lunch.
But it's a technical rehearsal.
Right. A technical rehearsal that's going to lead to a shootout in a couple of minutes. I mean, think about the time. The technical rehearsal could last 2 minutes, Eric. You know what I mean? 2 to 5 minutes. You've got an afternoon of shootouts right inside that church. The tech rehearsal is going to last 10 minutes.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She wasn't loading blanks, Mark. She was loading dummies. Why do you need a 6th dummy?
Oh, because you're going to, at some point, he may revolve the barrel and you're going to have an empty chamber. That's why.
Okay, I'm just saying. Yeah.
You're going to, if you're looking for an ECU, an extreme close-up, which is what is going on here, they're looking at ECUs. The ECUs are for the hammer, and you're going to see the chambers. So you don't want an empty chamber on that ECU. You want that filled. And I think at the last minute, she filled that empty chamber, which it's overkill, but I mean, it makes sense if you're going to have a cinematographer shooting extreme close-ups.
There's another point too that is in here that I was kind of like, wait a minute. I think maybe his article's quoting, I'm reading so much stuff, but I know remember we've seen how many times she loaded 5 rounds and couldn't fit the 6th.
Right.
Remember that?
She said it was damaged. She said it was damaged.
Right. So she cleaned it out, and then she got the round in after lunch.
Okay.
But then I saw another quote somewhere that she had used 4 rounds in her pocket and then 2 rounds later. So, I mean, it's very confusing on some of this, but we'll go through here because this is where we're talking about where all this stuff is.
This is crazy. This lawsuit is crazy.
I know.
Sarah has since acknowledged in a report by the LA Times on November 20th that a new box of presumed 45 caliber long Colt dummy rounds appeared on the set that day. Hannah exclaimed words to the effect of, "What is this?" Well, we know the way Hannah talks now, so it was probably more like, "What the F is this?"
It's the ammunition fairy.
We've been looking for a box of dummies for weeks. Where did this come from? This is why I have difficulty working with people. I mean, this is
any people at all on the earth, or just
even in law, it's still difficult. But can you imagine Alec Baldwin working in this ambiance? If there's these infighting, cat fighting among the. He must be.
Well,
pulling his freaking
he's
hair.
not privy to this. This goes
Oh.
on. This goes on in every film, just so you know. This is constant bickering. Fuck you. The costume lady doesn't like her job. They don't like the food. The camera looper doesn't like his hotel room. Welcome to indie film world, David. It does not happen on big studio pictures, but on indies.
This sounds like high school, and I could not stand high school.
Well, these are pretty young.
They're
women.
all in their 20s. It's a young man's
24.
game, Dave. It's a young man's game. This is not. I mean, the oldest daddy on the set is Dave Halls, the AD, whose purpose is to be Big Daddy. And everybody hates Big Daddy's guts because Big Daddy's telling them it's a curfew. You can't shoot guns. You got to go to lunch. You got to come back. That's why they hate Halls, who's in his 50s, right, Eric?
Something like that. But then they also have Alec Baldwin. He's a good mature example.
He's not considered part. That's not considered part of the crew.
She's destroying herself here. 42. No one in the prop truck acknowledged or claimed to be the source of the full box of 45 caliber long Colt dummy ammunition that morning. Hannah shook the box and she heard a jingling sound, which is what dummy rounds should sound like. So she's done her job as the armorer.
No, she hasn't. That's why I have to interject there as a lawyer who played one on TV and not a real lawyer.
Well, I was joking, by the
Or
way,
worse,
Mark.
a Canadian lawyer.
Right.
No.
She's jingling the box. You have to jingle each individual round.
I was being facetious. I was like, okay, gee, we don't know where this box came from. It's a box of bullets. They sound like dummy rounds.
Okay.
Load
All right.
them up.
So
We got
here's the
24
deal.
pages. So let's keep
Somebody,
going.
when the box arrived, some human being had to sign for it. That's the case breaker, is the signature of the acceptance of that box, because it just didn't appear. It came from Albuquerque or Santa Fe, and it arrived by FedEx or by hand, by a messenger, and somebody signed for it.
Yeah.
I said that a month ago, right, Eric?
Oh, yeah. But now,
Right.
okay.
Because Seth Kenny said they were looking for extra dummy rounds.
Yeah. Well, the search warrant, at least.
Right. Search warrant.
For him. I don't know what, he was saying that they were different according to like Good Morning America, where he was quoted. Okay. So here we go.
Look at 45. 45 is interesting.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to
Gets
say.
in the video village.
And the camera is not set up. And by the way, I've been talking to a cinematographer who has looked at the cameras and the displays. He said that was digital.
Okay.
And he's
All right.
confirmed that it was 100% digital. And he said there's no reason that the camera should not have been rolling, that they have terabytes available.
Whoa. Let me just back up. The camera crew that left, we don't know if they were digital. The camera crew that left with their equipment, that was probably digital also, right?
Yes, it was all digital, because there's pictures of Lane Looper with Halyna, and Lane left, and it was digital equipment that he was next to.
Right. Okay. So now you've got a new crew that got there 35 seconds ago. Keep in mind, after lunch or that period of time around 11 a.m., 12 noon, a new camera crew shows up, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Oh, well, yeah, it's weird. I mean, the cinematographer I talked to there said that by union rules, they're supposed to shut it down when they have a whole camera crew. They're supposed to shut this thing down for at least a day or two. But then 4 of the new camera crew were all non-union.
Well, the point is, in 45 is a key phrase, line 2 and 3, David. 45, video village was down. And what that means is there's no videotaping of what happened.
Or monitoring.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Recording or monitoring at all.
He says video village was always up, supposed to be up, so that Hannah, makeup, and others on set could see when they were needed and follow what was going on with film scenes as they were happening, for example, inside buildings. This is absolutely correct. The fact that they were operating blind tickles my conspiracy fantasy nonstop. This is like Epstein in the jail cell. The equivalent in a film. Well, I swear to God.
And Mark,
this is the equivalent of Epstein's jail cell.
Also, this is COVID protocols that are forcing them to be outside to have to look at the video, correct? Because they can't have so many people in there.
You do it anyway, even without COVID. That's how it works, because all of the other heads of the departments can't be in that little church. So you have the video monitor so they could see when to come in with clothing, way to come in with with new weapons, whatever. Why this is down has to be linked to a new camera crew. The only explanation.
But if it's down, would they not find an alternative means of just trying to find a solution? I mean, I could think of 15 solutions within a minute that you could implement so that people could still see, or at the very least, so you'd be recording somewhere. And so, I mean, if there is absolutely no other form of backup or video, yeah, it sounds like an Epstein in his prison cell thing. Or flip side, if there was, and right after they're like, delete all of this, or the video is out there, that would be also very interesting.
Right. I mean, it is unusual. I got to say, this is bizarre. The fact that the video village is down, especially because they're going through tech rehearsals, and it's so easy. You know what I mean? It's so easy to have it running. I mean,
well, that's what that cinematographer was telling me. He said
she's
that
right.
you
He's
always running, always running.
Yes, he's right. Is it a guy, Eric, or is it?
Yeah, it's a guy. And by the way, he pointed this out too. He said, "Where's the sound?" He said,
he's right again.
There's a boom operator back there, and the boom operator, as he put it, has SD cards that can record 8 to 10 hours at a pop.
There should be a kid sitting there with a Nagra taping this entire set and entire scene, and they tape everything because they don't know what not to tape. Where's the sound? Where's the sound?
Yes, and that's what he was
asking. There's a lot of missing parts here, David. There's a lot of missing parts.
Well, I'm excited in a cynical sense for the investigation to be complete, because this, in theory, should very well come out in the investigation if it's not going to come out in these lawsuits.
Well, look at number 47. 47 spreads the blame around to 500 people.
Okay, so
no,
hold on, back up to 46, dude.
Okay.
It provides several apps which apparently offer secure cloud storage and the ability for set crew. So this is beyond bullshit. So this should have not only been there, it should have been in the cloud, being recorded and available. So even if that gun or that equipment was damaged, it wouldn't matter. Already in the cloud. What's going on? Sorry, but now go to 47.
Okay,
two questions before you get there. Has Sousa talked yet?
No.
Okay.
And second question. Look, I've loaded a gun before. Why does it take 3 people to load one gun?
Well, that was my next state.
Well, they're loading all the guns, David.
Yeah, but
they're loading a lot of guns.
Okay.
From what I understand, they were loading gun belts and guns, and they have all the extras. So they're just doing it, together.
Okay.
Right. It's a girl thing. It's the girls
sitting around talking, fighting with each other.
I mean, it's what a prop department would do at 10 a.m. for after lunch event. They need a lot of people to do it.
Speaking of the cinematographer, there he is.
I'm here, Eric, just driving you.
So I haven't misquoted him. That is the cinematographer.
Oh, great. Welcome aboard. For Alec's gun, number 48, Hannah loaded 4 dummy rounds with holes in them from her pants pocket. A 5th dummy round from the box with a hole in it, and attempted to load a 6th dummy round without a hole in it from the box, but it would not go into the chamber, and she thought the chamber might need to be cleaned. Why does the 6th dummy round not have a hole in it like a dummy?
Well, they don't always have a hole in it, but supposedly 49, she shook it.
I see. Okay, right. I got you. Right. Okay, good.
So how did that happen?
Well, she's saying she shook the 6th one, right?
Yeah, so it should be a dummy, right?
Right, absolutely.
So there's some ownership or responsibility potentially here.
Well, this, again, 49 is the key to the entire case, David, because everyone's alleging this woman loaded the gun with the rounds. She's now claiming in this lawsuit, I loaded 6 dummy rounds. Yeah. Good night. Thanks for coming by.
She's the last person to have touched the rounds before it went into the gun that was used. And one thing, I don't know how things work. I know how my brain would work. If a bullet doesn't fit in a chamber, I don't think I'm tinkering with that bullet whatsoever. I'm finding a new one. Mark, am I wrong?
Except that, she's trying to make it work. I don't know. I mean, the entire case hinges on 48 and 49 on round number 6, because if she claims and has acknowledged in the LA Times and other places, as has everyone else, that she loaded all 6 rounds, then
who else is there?
What's that?
Who else is there?
Right, there is nobody else. That's it. It's her or nobody. So, either she loaded a live round. She's claiming here in this paper right here, 4 dummy rounds, 5th dummy round, 6 dummy rounds. End of story.
Yeah, this is very bad. I mean, now I want to know who the attorneys are, and I would look into that a little more afterwards. But Like, to me, it's basic common sense. If it doesn't fit, you don't try. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. If it doesn't fit, you don't tinker with anything that's going into a gun. You find one that does fit. Like, it could have been a used round or damaged or have been.
David, some of this is hard because these are old replica weapons, and modern ammo doesn't always work. Some of the ammos, that's why there's long Colt and there's long and things like that. So I could sort of see where they're like, oh, this damn dummy's not working here, or this is old or whatever. And I had a bottle that came in that said that the rounds were in fact chemically scarred up to make them look old.
Mm-hmm.
And that chemical stuff, they had to be cleaned off. Sarah Zachary was apparently cleaning that off with steel wool. That could have swollen the bullet slightly, or, the dummy round enough to make it not fit in two. Keep that in mind.
Well, look at 52. She's going after Alec Baldwin here in 52.
Oh, yes. She goes after Baldwin.
I'm just reading this like David for the first time. The protocol is to return the gun, and he says no every single time.
Hannah
That's the
asked
protocol.
Baldwin approximately every 30 minutes when a scene cut. If
That's
Baldwin
correct.
wanted to give her the gun back, and he said no.
That's
Hannah
not the
also
protocol.
sent Nicole over to ask Baldwin if he wanted to hand the gun back to her for holding, but Baldwin said no, that he was okay to continue holding it.
By the way, Nicole's a new character, Mark. We're
who is
discovering
Nicole,
her.
I'm assuming is a girl from the prop department.
No, she's the armor's assistant. The
She's
one
got an assistant?
Yeah, but remember we were looking for the money. We were like, oh, there was the budget there.
Right. I thought it was Seth Kenny who was.
No, it's
not.
not.
This girl. Okay. All right. So it's
early
Nicole.
in the lawsuit, on the first page, she's identified.
Okay.
So we can talk about her later. She is the sister-in-law, or soon-to-be sister-in-law, I think, of Sarah Zachary.
What?
Something like that. It describes her early in the lawsuit. I don't want to scroll up.
Okay.
Anyway,
she by protocol, she then sends over another person to try to wrestle the gun politically and socially and intellectually from Baldwin, who apparently won't give up the gun, which is unusual.
I thought that Hannah was not allowed into the church because of COVID protocol.
Well, she wasn't, but it depends on which point. Was he in the church?
There's different points when it could be a head count situation, David. 5 people are allowed in the bubble at the same time. There's people coming and going.
Also, this is the whole day, David. We don't know that he was in the church this whole time. This is the day.
Okay.
So he could have been doing a scene outside, could have been over by
Right, because she's saying every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes means hours. Every 30 minutes, it could be 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, from 10 a.m. to 12:30. So we got 2.5 hours right there.
So that's 2.5 hours every 30 minutes.
And there was lunch too.
Right.
So
gun socks provide an extra layer of protection for rifles and guns traveling on the storage. Oh, she's right about that.
Yep. And a lot of people, by the way, were making fun of that. They were like, "Oh, you're carrying a gun in a sock." It's like, no, they're an actual thing used.
Right.
For guns
it has to, because you have
them.
to have a matching holster for each gun, and then the handle and the triggers exposed. You can't have that.
Well, and also the weather to prevent rusting and things of that sort.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Hannah had to step away. Number 55. Hannah had to step away for a brief period. To what? Go to the bathroom or what? And
I
asked
don't know.
Sarah and Nicole to quote unquote watch the guns. When she came back, she noticed that 2 had wandered. That's an interesting phrase, David.
The two.
This is ridiculous. First of all, this is all ridiculous. Now, I don't know what it's called in the States, but when you ask for particulars, you ask for details. So she had to step away for a brief period of time. You can ask for that as, clarify how long, for what reason, or you can do it in deposition. But so she steps away. She says, and what's the other principle of law? Delegatus non potest delegar. That who has been delegated can't subdelegate. So she's subdelegating to these two other people, saying, watch the guns. Then she comes back and they've wandered some feet away, so the guns are effectively unattended.
Oh, the 2 had wandered away.
Oh, that's what she's saying.
Wandered away.
No. She's saying that they wandered. Well, he's reading it the first time, folks.
What happened to the guns? They kind of wandered away. No, it's the 2 people. I'm sorry.
It's the walking guns.
They were. How does she know that they were unattended for 5 minutes if she wasn't there and they were? Okay, they were unattended and she knew it. Let's see where this goes from here.
She's saying she came back, and I'm guessing she's staring and going, "Look, Nobody's here. So what?
Well,
There's
56
some
is-
conflict, obviously, judging from the texts that have gone back and forth.
Right.
from
Look at
before.
56, Eric. She's remembered that the chamber she believed needed to be cleaned in Baldwin's gun, and she cleaned it. And then Hannah pulled another round from the dummy box, shook it, and placed it in the chamber.
But I thought
Okay.
she did it earlier. Yeah,
I thought she
it's
did that
confusing
earlier.
on timeline. But I do know that the sixth one was after lunch. So
Yeah,
Well,
but-
that's number 6 right there.
yeah, that's consistent.
Look at 57. To the best of Hannah's knowledge, the gun was now loaded with 6 dummy rounds. End
Okay,
of
so
story.
let's take her story now.
Right.
From what we're seeing is it's confusing earlier because it implied that she loaded 4 and then 2, had trouble with the 6th one and put that in. But now it's kind of like she's saying that she put in 4 or 5 and then left for a little bit. Then they were unattended by them as well. So she left and then noticed that they were gone too. Then she came back and said, oh, here, and then stuck the last one in. So there's this little pocket of time that
right. Well, keep in mind, her lawyers are the ones that came up with the
With
sabotage
sabotage.
theory, David.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're the ones who profess sabotage. And this is the window of sabotage exposure.
Yeah,
as
except to me, it sounds like Hannah might have been the one that sabotaged it, because if she's loading bullets after they were unattended, she has what do you call it? It's actus novus. It's like that's where the new liability comes into play. She did something even after they were left unattended, so she didn't verify them again, even though they were left unattended. My reading was that they were all fully loaded before, and I might want to go back and make sure.
No. There's one empty chamber there, and what she's alleging in this window of time, according to her attorneys, is that's when the sabotage occurred. Right, Eric? Is this the window?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm hearing. So I'm hearing it. I'm hearing that there's 2 outs here.
This has been filed in court already, correct? So
yes,
there's no
in New Mexico court. Yeah,
she is. I think
she's claiming one of 2 possibilities in this. I feel one, the box that came had ammo in it, but then she's kind of admitting her own fault because she's saying she shook it. So if you shook it and all the rounds came from you, then that's there. So she has a second little window, which would imply the sabotage. So pick one.
No, but
and how is that Seth Kenny's, PDQ's fault?
Again, what does this have to do with Seth Kenny?
Well, and Seth Kenny and PDQ, if you're watching, and if anybody's watching, anybody else involved, I think Hannah has effectively made some culpable admissions, because she now said here, I knew these guns. I left these guns with 2 people who should have never, I don't think, been in charge of them. When I came back, they were gone. The guns were unattended. I then did not re-verify all of the rounds in the guns. The gun had been left unattended for anybody and everybody to manipulate. And I came back being the armorer. I did not double check anything that was in there. I just slapped another bullet in. And then lo and behold, even if it were sabotage, she was the safety measure, the safety guard between someone on the set sabotaging it and her diligently verifying each and every time that those rounds were in fact dummy rounds and not live rounds. I think she's sinking herself.
Well, until you get to 62, where she then goes after A.D. Halls inside the church. In 62, Hannah spun the cylinder for Halls and showed him 6 dummy rounds loaded, and Baldwin was not inside the church. So she's vindicating herself here again.
Or she's
incriminating
vindicating Halls, because she's right here saying that she showed Halls that those were 6 dummy rounds.
But Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. It would never be up to Halls at this point to take out those 6 bullets to make sure they're dummy rounds. So
It's not his job. It's just not his job.
I did my job well. These are 6 dummy rounds. Look, and Hall, who has no idea what's dummy from real, says,
No, he knows. He knows, but that's not his job to take him out again and shake him again.
So she's basically saying she now finished uploading a gun that she knew had been unattended for at least 5 minutes by her own admission.
Thank you.
She's building her own negligence argument very, very strongly here.
Again, is it possible, David, that this negligence argument and timeline and layout by her is designed to help her avoid criminal negligence from the district attorney?
I don't think so, because I hear a dog upstairs and she's driving. I can hear her through the floor. It's this whining because she sees food in the other room. I don't think so, because admittedly the thresholds are different between civil and criminal. But what she's saying here, in theory, I understand what you're saying, is that don't look at me. Someone else sabotaged it when it was my obligation to maintain chain of custody, chain of command, whatever you want to call it, and then verify it before use, specifically to make sure that no dummy slips a real bullet in.
Well, look at 64. This may answer your question, David, about the COVID protocols. Production had emphasized to everyone on set that day would be adhering to the strictest of COVID protocols, and Hannah was cognizant that the inside of the church was not a large space for the number of people inside.
Can we just appreciate the absolute insanity of the world in which they're firing, even if they're dummy rounds? They're firing dummy rounds, percussion forces, acting, stunt stuff, and and COVID is now the risk that they have to, deconstruct film. It's a clown world. Really, it's absolute madness. Okay, with that said.
That said, 65, Hall said to Hannah that he would be just be sitting in with the gun, meaning the gun wasn't going to be used at all, since this wasn't a scene or rehearsal.
Why is it there then?
Because it's a scene and a rehearsal to completely discredit her. I have no idea what that means, 65.
Well, unless he was going to be a stand-in. From what I understand, Hall's also posed with a gun in his hand, too.
Oh, that happens all the time.
So maybe that's what he meant by sitting in.
Yeah, ADs do that all the time. When these little things. The Kindle, but thank you. I am be free. 66, Hannah told Halls to let her know if Baldwin came back so that she could come back inside the church and reinspect the weapon. Here's a bold statement. And provide it to Baldwin herself. Okay. And she had done every time before on set. Her point was that if plans were to change for use of the gun to be more than just sitting in status, Hannah needed to be called back into the church. So she's absolving herself, David?
Okay. I guess in a way. So she did you think
is that usual? I mean, would that I'm not saying that she didn't, but it just seems like this might be an insertion after the fact. I don't know why, but it's like, okay, you gave it, you knew it was all dummies. Why would you say, oh, by the way, if there's anything else going on, let me reinspect it?
So someone is asking.
Right. Okay, just to answer that question, she would reinspect it if this was a dress rehearsal or just a tech rehearsal, and the scene was about to start. She would come in and say, all right, everybody would. You'd be going from ground zero at that point.
Okay.
So someone in the chat at V says, this is the throw Hannah under the bus lawsuit. No, this is Hannah's lawsuit.
Yeah, it's her.
Right.
Her lawsuit.
Right. 67, on this set, Hannah this is where it gets interesting, because you and I have been talking about this for months, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
On this set, Hannah had a split role of both armorer and key assistant props. She had to fulfill both roles, frequently flitting back and forth between the two sets of responsibilities. To me, this is one of the key situations in the entire event. The fact that the head of a department is the assistant in another department. I've never heard of this in my life, and it's bizarre. It really is.
It's another department within the same set of the same film. So it's two titles, for which she doesn't get paid for the second, but one of which is more.
No, she does.
Important.
She got.
No, she did get paid for the second.
She got extra salary.
Right, which is why I think she did it. To be honest with you, it's a low budget film, but
that's not much.
I mean, but think about it. She could be dealing with a live weapon 1 minute and then putting a flower vase on a table in another area of the set the next minute, worrying about if that's the correct year of the flower vase from 1885. Think about the mentality in a COVID situation with 3 zones of protection, A, B, and C. Imagine the clusterfuck F for a 24-year-old novice having to deal with this. It's a little much.
Well, and she's not working for the other 24-year-old.
What's that?
While she's placing that vase somewhere, there's an unattended, what could be live ammunition gun.
Right. No. That's why I was wondering, where did she go for that time? Did she go to the loo, or did she have to deal with her prop responsibility? Because then it gets into the producer's responsibility.
Yeah, but Mark, she left the prop master watching it.
Oh, yeah.
So when she disappeared, if it's a prop responsibility, then wouldn't it be?
Based on this, she covered her ass. Based on this, when she asked Nicole and Sarah Zachary to watch those guns because she had to go off, I'm just wondering what she had to go off and do. She's saying I'm covered because I asked these 2 girls. Now, under oath, they could say she's full of shit. They never asked us anything. We were over in the prop department waiting for her. Like, why is she going off to do props when the head of the prop department, Sarah Zachary, is guarding her gun?
Exactly. That's
Where's
what I
she
was saying.
going? That's why I raised the question. Is she going to the bathroom, or is it part of her job as the assistant, key assistant props person?
And she is allowed to go to the bathroom. We're not saying she can't.
Well, she should have mentioned. Okay, that's what I'm saying. She
Right.
should have mentioned where she was going.
Right.
It's one of the most crucial parts of the entire lawsuit. Where are you going? Leaving these live guns on a table to have these other two people watch them? Because your entire case, according to your attorneys, is that sabotage occurred when you went to this undisclosed location.
But this sabotage case is suing PDQ Arms. We haven't.
bizarre.
We've left PDQ Arms
a
pages
long
ago.
time ago in this suit.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
this is 20. We're not even halfway through this suit.
It's two
And-
things. She either loaded a live round, or she's suggesting that in the 15 minutes where she did not have custody over the firearm, someone else unloaded it and
What does
loaded
it have
with
to
a
do
live
with
round.
Seth Kinney and PDQ?
Right, but what
Arms?
does it have to do with Seth Kenny sending a box that happens to have a live round in it?
The first hypothesis would be what ties Kenny in. The second of sabotage, if it came from anywhere other than live rounds in the box that came from PDQ, would not inculpate Kenny. So
Right. So,
Right,
how
so
does
her
Seth-
same
right.
lawsuit exonerates him and accuses him in the same breath.
That's what I'm saying. The lawsuit is also a vindication of her criminally. It's serving two masters here. I mean, Seth Kenny is not the focus of this lawsuit. It's almost like this is my get out of jail free lawsuit card. She's laying down.
Mark, I see what you're saying is that she's trying to build up plausible deniability or
Thank
reasonable doubts.
Thank you.
In-
Thank you.
So like here, my civil suit is against PDQ, but in the event I ever get criminally charged, here's the 15 minutes where it could have been sabotage.
That's what I'm getting at. That's
yeah,
what I
but
think.
you know what? For what
But
they
you're
might-
a civil litigator, David, and when you agree that all this stuff after Seth Kinney are literally in the same lawsuit, letting PDQ off the hook too, because she just stated
Well,
a billion reasons it had nothing to do with him or any ammo or dummy boxes.
we'll see where the argument goes. If she's suggesting that someone replaced the bullet with the dummy round with a live round when she didn't have possession in the 15 minutes, fine. I presume also, even if that would be the case, to the extent that they were all fully loaded, that means that there would be a dummy round somewhere. So they would have potentially, even you would have had to have taken it out and then
Okay,
whoever did it.
just by her own
pocketed it.
admission, she, however long it took or whatever the process was, in the course of loading this gun, she flatly claims, I loaded this gun with 6 dummy rounds, right, Eric? I
She did.
shook
She shook them. She explicitly said that.
6. I shook 6. Now,
Yep.
the only time that could have been dealt with is when she left the set, Eric, right?
Mhm.
And that's what
Exactly.
she's saying. That's her case. That's her. But again, what does that have to do with Seth Kenny?
So, well, actually, like I said, I think it exonerates him because she's
Right.
literally saying that what she took out of the box, she shook, sounded like a dummy.
Let's
Like
say
Big
there were.
Baby.
Let's say there were 50. There were 50 dummies. There was 50 dummies in the box,
Mhm.
and 5 of them were live rounds. David, right? She took out 6 dummies. She could have gotten 5 live rounds, but she didn't. She got 6 dummies out of a box that had a couple of live rounds. Just for argument's sake, let's say that box of 50 that shows up, Seth Kenny screwed up. Seth Kenny loaded in 3 to 7. If you listen to the sheriff said there were 7 live rounds in the 50, as I recall. Of the 7, she picks up 6 non-live rounds. She doesn't get into those 7. She takes 6 dummy rounds, shakes them. They all have a pellet in them. She loads 6 dummy rounds. Seth Kenny may be liable for putting 7 in a box of 50, but she's saying she never touched them anyway. She never touched them, even if there were 7 out of 50 in there.
Yeah, this is a cluster of a mess. What does it go on to allege in terms of how it has to bring Kenny and PDQ back into it towards the end? And here's
Okay.
why they're responsible.
I don't know. I mean, we're 24 pages in, so we're still in the shooting here. Hold on, we're going into the aftermath. We're going into the total number of people.
Well, I'd be curious to know what her recounting of the aftermath is, just to compare it to Alec Baldwin's recollection.
Hold on. Good one. 77. As the shot went off, Sarah, who was outside the church and near Hannah at the ammo cart, exclaimed, "What was that?" Hannah responded that she didn't know. Sarah then asked, "Was that the gun?" Hannah said it couldn't be the gun, and she believed it had to be special effects. because Hannah knew in her mind that the gun was loaded with dummy rounds, and when she handed it to Halls.
But remind me, dummy rounds are not blank. Dummy rounds do
Correct.
not have enough primer to trigger.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Blanks go boom. Dummy rounds are just nothing.
But remember the guy we mentioned before, Eric? That guy Gandy, Thomas Gandy?
Yes.
He was special effects. Why was he in there with a gun and a cowboy outfit standing in the doorway? And why are they mentioning special effects right here?
I don't know. And by the way, what about the COVID protocols? Why was he there and not the armor? What was going on?
Well, what she's saying here, she's saying that it had to be special effects.
Right.
Because I put 6 dummy rounds in there.
Well, it's curious it's curious as to why they would even be surprised if they were under the impression that there should have been sounds going off.
No. They're under the impression that there shouldn't be sounds going on.
Now,
That's why they're shocked.
No, but that's why. So then if there shouldn't be, why would there be sound effects in any case? That would be even weirder than it would seem like the first thing you would think of is
not so much, not really, because if they wanted to have a rehearsal, again, I'm asking why that sound effect guy was there then. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense, Eric, and because if the sound effects guy is not needed, if he's just a guy who does sound effects in post-production, why is he in the church? Why is he wearing a gun? Why
I thought he was the stunt coordinator.
Excuse me?
I thought he was the stunt coordinator.
No. ABC News had him listed as a special effects guy.
Okay.
And that's why I'm wondering, and that they're wondering, was that a special effect, an audio effect?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see them wondering it, especially if they're outside. They don't hear the shot directly, and I don't know what kind of acoustics.
Well, it's a loud shot. I mean,
it is, but acoustics are weird. Like if you're outside, depending on the church or whatever, it can be confusing directionally. Going, what? Right,
but look at it from Hannah's point of view. She, in her mind and in her heart of hearts, loaded 6 dummy rounds into a gun. Mm-hmm. Now there's an explosion, and they're looking at each other, going, "That can't be our gun."
Nope, I
I'm on mute. Not just that, 78. Alec Baldwin says he stood over her. Did she faint? What happened? And she says she runs in here probably within a few seconds of the shot and sees 2 people laying on the ground bleeding. So
no. Everybody knows Alec is full of it because everybody was saying it was a gunshot, except for Alec. He somehow missed that moment. Even Mamie Mitchell managed to get on 911 and say 2 people have been shot. So no, we'll deal with Alec later. Trust me.
Look at 79. 79 says 14 people were inside that church, Eric.
Yes, including those. Yeah. Very interesting.
Wow. I didn't know there were that many people in there.
And nobody was recording anything. Bull plop.
Nobody was recording a cell phone or an audio.
Somebody took a picture that Serge posted. I do know that.
Right. That's Serge's photo, right? From his phone?
I'm presuming he took it since he posted it. But, you never know. Can't be sure on that, but I think
okay, look at number 80. Halls brought her the weapon and Hannah inspected it, finding the spent casing, which is what's left from the live round. Correct. At that point, Hannah was trying to figure out if this had been a dummy round with a hot primer or possibly a live round inside the weapon.
At what time did the shot occur?
Okay. Hold on. Hot primer. That's what I was telling you about earlier, David.
Yeah,
with wound up killing Brandon Lee. The hot primer caused the bullet to go inside there, and then a blank fired the bullet out. So that's what they were talking about.
Okay, but she says that she shook all 6 dummy rounds and they each had a pellet in it. So that eliminates this hot live round based on her testimony.
But not a hot primer.
Okay.
A hot primer is possible because you could shake it and have a BB and still have primer in the bag.
What time did the shooting actually occur? Like we're at 1:49. The place time of the call was placed. What did she say? What time the shooting?
I think
occurred?
It was like 1:30 or something, right? Or
no, it was after lunch.
It didn't take that. I don't think it was that long before the 911 call, but I don't know the exact.
Mamie Mitchell, law enforcement dispatch 152. Hannah told Sarah to inspect the ammo box immediately. Hannah told Sarah, who's ostensibly her
boss.
A boss, yeah, to inspect the ammo box immediately if there are any live rounds in the box. Sarah returned from the prop cart within minutes and said there were other suspected live rounds in the box. That's the 7. Remember that?
No, look at this. It is unclear how Sarah was able to make this determination so quickly. Here we go. You can feel a little shifting here.
Right. Wow.
That's
wait up, look at 83. At some point thereafter, Sarah told Hannah that she had called Seth Kenny and that he had said that the live rounds were not his. So he's saying flat out. Is he liable, David?
Well, I mean, you got to prove. I mean, okay, let's say that we're PDQ, just for giggles, and we send a box over or whatever. If rounds are there, are you going to automatically say, "Oh yeah, oh shoot, yeah, those are 7 rounds," or what? It doesn't.
Well, again, this is them saying that he said that. You know what I mean?
Even from the drafting here, you don't know which rounds are in the gun. So how she's even presuming, based on what they've alleged, that she knows definitively that it was PDQ's dummy rounds that contained the live rounds that were in the gun.
Again, it depends on that box that was delivered that day of dummy rounds that somebody signed for. Did they come from PDQ or from outer space? Right?
Why would they be touching the weapon or the ammo boxes at all, given it has been used in a shooting? I guess they're all panicking.
They're
like,
they're not cops,
technically. They don't look at it
so they wouldn't
that way.
think of it.
Yeah, they don't look at it that way.
So someone said, would there not be a fingerprint on the casing or the bullet?
Could
Now,
be.
but my understanding, I once upon a time was, got robbed and we were talking with the cops, and they said, the idea that there's fingerprints on everything, it's a Hollywood thing. That in reality, to get a fingerprint, you have to have some decent conditions meet up, like a greasy finger, a relatively clean surface. You can't go get fingerprints off a book. So I don't think.
Let me answer this real quickly.
Yeah, Douglas.
I didn't say that a hot primer would be powerful enough to even shoot the bullet out of the gun. I said that was what happened with Brandon Lee.
Right.
The hot primer is enough to shift the bullet out of the cartridge and stick in the barrel. Right. I'm saying that she could look at a spent casing and say, was that a hot primer?
Boy, we got a pot boiler now, David. We got a real pot boiler.
Hold on, but leave Douglas. No, leave Douglas's avatar back up for 1 second. That is the most beautiful damn dog on earth. That's a Dog de Bordeaux, and it's a beautiful dog.
Okay.
Getting back to the murder, David. If you could focus on one thing.
Sorry. I see a dog, I get distracted. Okay.
You're like a squirrel with a dog, aren't you? 85, when Hannah reemerged to speak to authorities who had just arrived, she saw that the cart had been moved about 40 feet to the other side of the church. It is unclear as to who moved the cart and for what sabotage reason, David.
I call bull crap on that observation. I don't think anybody would have observed that in the time. And more importantly, even if she did observe it and it was the case, you just dealt with a catastrophic shooting.
Right.
You would think that it's out of place, that things might have been moved in the scuffle.
Yeah, right.
That's an implausible allegation to me.
Right, I agree. 86, after law enforcement and medics attended the shooting victims, Halyna and Joel, inside the church, the sheriffs then secured the scene and began collecting evidence. In doing so, they found a suspected 7 live rounds distributed inside an ammo box, on the ammo cart, and in the bandoliers. Oh, they spread out. The live rounds had Starline brass casings with nickel primers. Well, that should be somehow traceable to Seth or whoever.
Well, if I presume that's going to have to be traceable to PDQ, which is
there's arguments between PDQ and Seth and Reed and her lawyers whether that was Stel Reed's rounds, because remember there are claims that Hannah brought ammunition as well.
Oh, dig this. Look at 88, David. Law enforcement did not search the prop truck until 6 days later.
She doesn't know what she's talking about. I mean, I'll be surprised if that's true.
Oh, okay.
How would
she calling her a liar? Okay.
Well, I'm not a liar. I don't think she has the knowledge to even make that claim. What does she know what happened within the 6 days afterwards?
Good point. That's a good point.
Well, maybe she read the LA Times, David.
Everything's in the LA Times. She just doesn't credit them every single number here.
Well, law enforcement, for her to make that statement, she would have to have knowledge, of what the investigation did, which I don't think she does. She would have had to been on set for the next 6 days to know that nothing happened. She doesn't have the knowledge.
Whoa. Hold on. We got a little bombshell here. Number 90. After the police had arrived on October 21st and before Halyna had been pronounced deceased, Seth made a call to a police officer in Bullhead City, Arizona, officer named Troy Teskey. Officer Teskey is best friends with Thel Reed, her dad. During that call from Seth to Troy at 4:03 p.m. on October 21st, just hours after the shooting, and before Halyna had been pronounced deceased, Seth stated words to the effect to Troy that Hannah had messed up.
May I just ask the obvious question? How the
Yeah.
heck does she think that she knows this?
I have
After
no idea.
Well,
After
okay,
the
let's say
police
it's
arrive-
true. Let's say it's true for a second. Okay. We know that, I mean, local news, people knew that the shooting happened. So is it impossible for somebody from the outside to say that armor must have messed up because it was a gun? Just
Well,
you
in
know,
91,
by default.
in 91, it says Seth came to an almost immediate conclusion that Hannah had, quote, messed up and offered it up unsolicited to Troy and is neither understood or yet to be explained or clarified. How does she know this private conversation between
this is, first of all, she has no, there's no reasonable way to think that she has knowledge, direct knowledge of this. Second of all,
Right.
everybody was saying that Hannah messed up. They were saying that within 5 minutes of the shooting because she's
Right.
the author.
Who owns the guns? Who's in charge of the guns? Oh, they messed up. I mean, I don't think it's infeasible for somebody to immediately state something like that. Not whether it's fair or not, but just I could see somebody saying that.
But, you know, this will not be a lesson for plaintiffs, but this should be a lesson for lawyers. Go to paragraph 92. Troy felt the call was very unusual in that Seth made one of his first calls to him right after the incident. Seth knew Troy only through I mean, this is a lawyer drafting an allegation for his client, which is purporting to know the emotions of third parties that are not even directly.
I'm going to object. I'm going to object, Your Honor, because I believe, and this is my hunch, that Troy is working with the defense team of Hannah Reed.
Probably.
That's
He's tight with Thel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's this is all coming from him.
Troy,
93. Seth repeat. Excuse me.
Someone in the chat says maybe Troy told her, but if Troy told her, then they would say Troy told Hannah later on. This is like they are alleging other people's emotions, which is it's bad practice. But whatever. Maybe they know. Maybe they mind read. But
Well, this is where I feel like the sabotage is coming in,
Right.
and tying Seth to it. It's like, why is he calling so much? Why is it? So we're throwing some shade here.
Oh, so you're saying that maybe Seth was involved in the lawsuit in the sabotage?
I'm thinking that
Allegedly.
this is the. Remember, I said, how is this sabotage related to him and all? And now I'm seeing all this. Why is he calling? Why all these calls? What's going on? How did he know?
She dump him? This goes back to episode 1. Did she dump him as a lover, and this is revenge?
I don't know. I do.
Okay,
not
so 93. Seth repeatedly called Troy over the next 2 weeks. He also texted Troy. How would they know that, David? How would they know?
well,
that?
no, that I can. That if they have the texts, they
Right.
can know.
Okay.
That
They
much
obviously
more
have the
easily.
text. In total, it says in total there were over 20 calls and texts that Seth made to Troy. Obviously, the Troy is working with them.
Well, and here's the question too. When you say there's over 20 calls and texts, I have a question on that. What do you count a text? Do you count an entire conversation as a text? Or if I say, how's everything looking? And then you
That's
answer,
one.
how's this looking? There's 3.
there's
And
3, yeah.
There's exchange. And over a week, that's
Let me tell
not
you
terrible.
something. There is
20 calls and
there's
texts
some-
over a week is not that
Keep
big.
in mind, Troy is a sworn police officer. Keep in
Yes.
mind, this is an ongoing investigation in another city. This guy's a police officer. So if you look at 94, during one of these latter calls on November 1st, Seth was with the sheriff's lead investigator. Now Seth is with the police. He's on and another law enforcement official. He called Troy and asked if Troy could send some of Thel's live reloaded rounds that originally came from a known reloader who specialized in reloading rounds. Seth also texted Troy and asked if he had any live reloaded rounds with nickel primers. The point of the matter is, you have Seth in bed with the police in Albuquerque, in Santa Fe, and this guy is a policeman who's in bed with the other side. It's a little weird.
This is nuts.
This is crazy. What are these two guys getting private advice or help with the police, and both of them are suspects in a homicide, ostensibly? Is this just some small town, amateur hour?
Well, I'm curious to know what she knows of the investigation. I don't think she can know very much about what's going on in the investigation, and people talk and people call each other. And so what everything is easy to conspiratorialize.
Well, I can only refer to 95. Seth took it upon himself to essentially investigate this matter for the sheriff's office and insert himself into this matter and attempt to implicate Hannah. What kind of professionalism is this on the part of the sheriff's office?
And by the way, this put in allegedly. Did he work with the sheriff or not? I mean, there's so much hearsay.
She thinks he did, but what does it? The thing is, this is why it's stupid, is that nobody needs to do anything to implicate Hannah. She's implicated de facto from the beginning. So the idea that people need to go out of their way to implicate her, first of all, by her own admissions, she's implicated. And by all obvious explanations, she's the first person you would go to because that was her job. So this conspiracy theory that like people are going out of the way to implicate her, she's implicated, period. She's the first person people are going after Alec Baldwin, who pulled the trigger. But yeah, no, this looks like she's protesting a little too much in terms of people trying to frame her. She admitted to checking the bullets and putting them in. Bottom line,
here it is on 99. On 99, we're getting to it, Eric. On November 3rd, 2021, counsel for Hannah went on the Today Show and Good Morning America, and on behalf of Hannah indicated that they believed that the Rust set had been sabotaged and that someone had introduced live rounds on that set. Wow. Number 100, on that same day, on November 3rd, Seth texted Troy, again blaming Hannah for the accidental shooting. Wow. He's texting a cop in another town about this case. Now here's the sabotage really gets going here. 101, yeah. Seth Kenny attempted to have her drop her claims of sabotage and to instead cooperate with the police and implicate A.D. Halls, David, as being the person responsible for the entire tragedy on that dark day.
No,
wow. This is so weird. By the way, there's a text up above that I want to see. I checked a bunch of them.
Yeah, what does that one say? I can't read it on my copy here. Can you read that, Eric?
I checked a bunch of the rounds. These are the four different types
I could find. Okay, so you can sort of see the little variance in the back.
Who is he saying this to?
Oh, shoot. These knuckleheads actually doxed him. Never mind.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Anyway, and he's saying it's evidence of accidental death. So moving on here.
Well, Seth suggested on the bottom of page 16, 101, that A.D. Halls had essentially bullied Hannah and not allowed her to do her job safely.
I'm confused by some of this, though. Okay, Mark, didn't they say earlier the only reason that he knew, Troy at all, was through Thel Reed? So he knew that Troy was tight with the family. I would love to look at all the exchanges, and I'd be curious who's initiating them. Who is actually doing this? It's like, is he initiating them? When you say he texted him, did Troy say, "Hey, what are your thoughts of blah blah blah"? And then Seth is replying, or is Seth instigating it? This is really
someone's asking who's Seth again, and now
Seth Kenny is the owner
is the defendant.
PDQ.
Yeah,
and he's a defendant.
Yeah.
So the theory here is that Seth is interfering with the investigation to throw Hannah under the bus.
Oh, here we go. Here it is.
Read that one right there. Blow that one up. You're going to get some information right there.
All right. Go ahead and talk to the police. Tell them everything. Answer every question down to what you had for breakfast. You're young, certainly not green or inexperienced with period weapons, but did you get rolled over by the set system and the AD with 30 plus years of experience? I think you did, and you're too proud to say that. Had you partnered up with a truly professional AD, none of this would have happened.
Wow.
That true professional would have supported your safe efforts. Instead, you got David Reckless Halls. No AD is ever to touch a gun. How many times had he grabbed guns from you? If he did it once before and you didn't kick his teeth and you got rolled. Had you ever watched your dad hand off guns to an AD? You're tough, but there's always someone out there who's more intimidating. Who are you to question him? Please think about this. Take some time.
Wow.
That doesn't sound like what she was saying.
Right. He sounds like he's trying to help her, and everything that he said in this lawsuit, the tone is that he is her mentor.
Yeah, that's a mentoring type of statement saying, hey, did your dad ever do that? That's a
but wasn't that his job as mentor to the armorer? Wasn't that our original takeaway?
What is
but remember, he sued LA Times saying he was not an armorer mentor.
Hold on,
right, but it says that on the production sheet.
What is she suggesting that this text illustrates? That Seth
I don't know. I don't know.
She's claiming that he's telling her to implicate Dave Halls through this text, and I don't see that.
I don't see that either.
Well, to me, it sounds like he's saying that she was reckless in allowing David Halls to play with the gun, but that she's young and that she got pushed around on the set. I don't know what rolled means in this context.
Well, he's
rolled over,
But nobody rolled like means played like Halls was trying to do this.
Bullied.
But no, this to me this sounds like Seth is saying you didn't do your job properly because you're never supposed to leave custody of the gun, and you did for whatever the reasons. Pressure, you're young and you listen to somebody who's older than you, and therefore it's the production's fault. Which
okay, now look at it from her point of view. She's saying she's not blaming Halls. She is saying that she had to work in another department and COVID protocols caused this problem. And she got live rounds in a box. So she's nowhere in these things does she blame Halls.
And
she
by the
way,
here's Seth talking to her dad. There's nothing to be gained by Hannah and her attorneys dragging me into this. If anything, the DA may perceive this as an unapologetic scapegoat tactic and lower the boom even harder. You and I will be collateral damage in this tragedy and approach. It makes no sense.
Well, I agree with that.
I agree with that too. Hey, wow. It's a pot boiler. 103. By this point, Seth, who had no official role in the investigation, had made multiple attempts to direct the investigation and to cast blame on a variety of people and deflect scrutiny from himself.
Yeah, this is.
But if that's their evidence, I don't see it in the evidence that they're showing in this suit.
This is a freakishly bad reading interpretation of what Seth was purporting or suggesting in that text. But she's frantic and panicking, and I don't think she's even seeing the evidence properly because that is not what
her lawyer wrote this.
Yeah, well, look.
I'm sorry. She does have an attorney. He's with her all the time on Good Morning America. Mark and I have seen him.
I've seen him. Yeah,
he was on the 2020 sitting next to her. I mean,
has anyone looked into his performance record?
Him and his partner, or both of them, I think, were assistant district attorneys at one point. These were they're seasoned guys. They became defense lawyers, but they came from the prosecution world, if I recall correctly. And something about her father flew in 105 while in Albuquerque. Fell also wanted to retrieve an ammo can and live rounds that Seth had taken from him on the prior movie set in August or September 2021. So he's flying in to get his daughter the day after the shooting, but he wants these live rounds, Eric.
Yeah, well, that was this. There was supposed to be that fight between Thel and Seth,
right?
About these rounds that were on another movie, which, by the way, proves that they do have live rounds in the movie because they made explicit point say that they had live rounds, but went to a proper range, which probably means
2 feet in back of the set.
Yeah, with 20 bales of hay.
Right.
Anyway, you know how that is. But anyway,
someone said in the chat, look at where was it? Oh, look, it was an accident, but Alec should have checked the gun. If I'm Alec Baldwin, I am looking at this and saying, look, my memory of what happened was traumatic memory. I was in shock and wasn't perceiving or digesting reality properly. But this lawsuit really makes it look like an absolute shit show in the production between all of them, and Alec Baldwin's just the dummy who pulled the trigger.
Right. I mean, where is it mentioned Alec Baldwin in this whole suit? Like once or twice. And
just
as a mannequin, really. He's a standing mannequin.
Yeah. He's the jerk who kept a hold of his gun. That was the biggest claim there that I can think of. Right now, though, I don't see anything. I don't see anything in this lawsuit that really implicates Seth Kenney. Maybe I'm wrong, but her evidence, what he stated in those texts, actually kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you've been around and all that, but he seemed to be somewhat seasoned, somewhat acting like that. I don't know. This is weird. So we're getting into Thel and PDQ.
Well, is it? 110 upon execution of the search warrant. What is there anything meaningful that they found?
No, but if you look at 115, defendant Seth Kenney has denied ever being on the set of Rust, David, but somehow had the code for the prop truck safe that Hannah had purchased for the production. Hannah never gave him that secret code, David. Seth was on set supposedly for the first time ever when the warrant was served on the prop truck 6 days after the shooting on October 27th, 2021, to help the sheriffs get into that safe. It is unknown who gave him the secret code to the production safe, David.
How about anybody gave him the code in the 6 days afterwards in order to facilitate the search warrant?
Only two people had the code.
No,
Sarah and Hannah.
Sarah, Hannah, Dave Halls, Sousa.
Sousa had the code?
Yeah, Sousa, okay. Dave Hall, Sarah, and Hannah, I believe, were the four. And question, and here's another question: where did she buy the safe? Did he provide the safe out of curiosity?
Well, here, 116. Contrary to the truth, upon information and belief are mutually incompatible. Like one says, "This is what I think," and I don't know for a fact. Seth told law enforcement that it was his prop safe. It was the production safe.
Wow.
It was the production safe, and Hannah purchased it and has a copy of the receipts to prove.
Again, my question: where did she purchase it? Did she purchase it from Seth?
That's what it says here.
Well, it doesn't say that exactly.
Seth told it was his prop safe.
Someone said, Joy of Serenity says, "Oh my God, I'm so confused." I'm getting confused now as well, Joy. I don't even know what she's trying to prove now. Okay, so Seth had the code for the safe.
The secret code,
Seth sabotaged it, but it was in the.
That's what she's implying here.
But then she goes back to the box of dummy rounds to say that they were in there by accident. So if Seth was going to go open the case and put in some live rounds, why even?
Hold on for a second, bushy head. There's more. 117. Oh, God, defendant Seth Kenney had access to the Rust set, knowledge of the code to the prop safe, and with his company, PDQ was the primary supplier of guns and ammo to the Rust set. Upon information and belief, after the October 16th accidental discharge by Sarah Zachary, defendant Seth Kenney said that he never wanted to work with Hannah again. Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go count one. Unfair trade practices.
That's bizarre. Yeah, that's what I couldn't understand. That. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what these provisions are, but scroll up just to see where they allege the actual law. No, scroll down, I should say. Count one violation. Let's just see where they say we're going to incorporate the allegations. Okay. He constitutes unfair methods of competition, and they constitute unfair or deceptive acts or practices.
Wow.
Oh, I guess it's like warranties and representations of the safety of their product.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, I don't know enough about this, but that sounds like a stretch because if it's sabotage, it's not about warranties and representations.
Well, they can't make up their mind. She's saying, because whatever.
Creation.
Either the rounds were in the box or they weren't in the box, and who cares about combinations and everything else?
If you look at count two, creation of a dangerous condition, strict product liability, 126. Defendants distributed boxes of ammunition purporting to contain dummy rounds, but which contained a mix of dummy and live ammunition to the Rust production. Defendants knew or should have reasonably believed the ammunition was supplied. Okay.
But see, this allegation makes all of the hypothesizing about him having a code for the box irrelevant. Because that will undermine any legitimacy to the other claim. Because it's like, okay, he gave us a box that had faulty products in it, but he had the code for the box too. And
he's either he's incompetent and he's a saboteur.
To make extra super double.
No, that Mark, you know what it is? He sold the box with there, and in case it didn't get there, he snuck on the set and said, "Let me double check." or they actually
Boy,
live
what
rounds
what
there.
jury is going to find for
Oh, boy.
her in this case, David? What jury?
This is going to get tossed on a motion to dismiss. Now, this is not my out, people. I have to actually do this because my battery's going dead. I don't have the cable here, but that is going to be my my out. But no, this if I'm making predictions, there's going to be a motion to dismiss
Right.
for failure to state a claim. I don't know how they're going to go about it, like the frivolity, or because you have to assume the allegations are true. But even if they're true, did they state any sort of basis in law? Like,
No, it'll be standing or latches.
no, this will just be this lawsuit
just kidding.
is frivolous on its face. The only question is what would be the tactic to go for, and I don't know if those causes of action are even remotely tenable. But that's something for New Mexico law. The fact that these a breach of contract, okay. The fact that these are ADA or former ADA attorneys, that is neither inspiring nor damaging, but it does. I don't think that doesn't do any necessary credit for them. Yeah, that's
right.
It's a very badly drafted lawsuit because
All right,
they mixed in
Well, thanks for stopping by. That was
Okay,
wonderful.
it was my pleasure. Thank you, guys. And
Thank
Eric,
you.
Mark, I'm going to be publishing my breakdown of the indictment of Rhodes from the what are they called? The Oaths Keeper. I'll wait till you guys get done so I don't drag the crowd away. But everyone, Viva Frei, Viva Frei, yada yada yada. And apparently Dan Bongino just got suspended from YouTube.
Wow.
I just got a tweet now. I'm going to go and a text.
Okay, we're going to keep going for a
soon,
couple minutes.
Yeah, we got
wrap
to
up.
finish
But
up.
I do want to do this Sirhan thing with you when you get a chance.
Next week we're doing Sirhan.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm checking up, people. Enjoy the weekend. Mark, Eric, always good to see you guys.
All right. See
Later,
you, man.
Bushy. Later, Mr. Bush.
All right.
I just want to read 143 in the breach of contract. Payment was made to defendants by the movie set For the Old Way, and plaintiff is owed over $10,000 for her payment and rental of the leathers and guns.
Oh, so now we're arguing over the Nick Cage movie.
Right.
There's like a real conflict here, and it's all being wrapped into this suit. But you know what, Mark? Good news.
What?
A bottle came in.
What? There's a message in a bottle?
Yes, and never mind that it's a beer that I happen to drink. That's perfectly natural to float in because they want to make sure that I understand that the bottle's for me.
Oh,
so
wow.
Good news.
Okay.
There's a message.
What's the
about
message?
This suit. Hold on. Let me pull it out. And so
What
if I
the
can
hell
read
is
it.
that?
Oh my God. Let's see. The lawsuit filed yesterday by Hannah Gutierrez Reed is a thinly disguised effort to deflect blame and responsibility and nothing more. It is entirely without merit. There is no chance the live rounds found on the set of Rust came from PDQ, Arm and Prop, LLC, or Seth Kinney.
Wow.
We are confident the investigation will release information and statements in coming weeks that will completely absolve us from this frivolous lawsuit, whomever that mysterious us is. But I found this.
Who is the us?
I don't know. It's in the bottle, dude.
It's obviously PDQ, Eric, right?
I don't know. It's a bottle, dude. It floated in. I can't identify all my bottles.
It says us that it's going to be dismissed. I mean, that's got to be the defendant.
I don't know, but it's a bottle. What am I going to do, man?
You're saying bottle as if that's important. Yes. But who do you think wrote that?
I have no idea. It appeared in the bottle. You know, they somehow somebody knew we were talking
that on Locals, so we can have a look at it. Or
no, I don't think I can post that one. I think that it got waterlogged and I can't share specifically.
Okay. All
right. Yeah, it's these dots and bottles. You never know what's going to happen.
In this case, it's just when you think it's over, they pull you back in like Godfather 3. I keep trying to get out, and every week there's some reason we got to do another episode.
Well, the worst thing is that we were literally supposed to be talking about the mystery of the Splenda package. We are over 90 minutes in.
Oh, Jesus.
And so we got to just tease it, I guess, or I don't even know what to do with it. I might even change the thumbnail because I don't want to let people down. We will talk about the mystery of the Splenda, but we got to spend some time on that. We've got this lawsuit. There's some other things coming up. We're going to have more Baldwin Friday for sure next week because it's piling up.
Wow.
We have more than we can contend with
We
now.
have to bring in some interns, I think, Eric. Just to
Oh my
help us.
God.
I didn't have a chance to read I just got home last night. I'm sorry, everybody. I would have read this. I'm a terrible driver, and it took me hours to get home. But yeah, there's a lot of meat on this bone. I'll tell you that right now.
God, yes, and I'm really glad that we had David to come in and pinch hit to get a little bit of a legal aspect on it.
Yeah, I'm
but
not
for
a lawyer.
this, I mean, oh man, folks, I'm tired.
A lot of allegations, but if you want to support us, they can go to Locals, Eric. Or
yes, you can buy merch.
There's swag. You're saying there's swag.
Yeah, there's merch. You can check in the chat. We'll obviously take super chats throughout the show. We were demonetized 5 minutes in. That already
Is that
went
true?
by. Oh yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, it's like pink. Oh, you're live, demonetized.
Well, if you want to support my book fund and my coffee fund, you can PayPal me. Also, we should do the thing again with the book, Eric. If they want to join Locals, I'll give them a copy.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll put that back up there.
Rehab Nation Inside the Secret World of Celebrity Drug Rehabs, which is a fascinating book. It's on Amazon. But if you join Locals over the next week or two,
I'll get a PDF up there.
Okay, we'll give you a PDF of the book, which is it's got a lot of meat in that book. I'll tell you that much. It's a lot of celebrity stuff and gossip in there. If you love that, I don't know if that's your
by
thing.
the way, before Baldwin, we've got Sirhan.
Yes,
which is only
Sirhan,
a 50-year
I've
long
been busy
case.
with the Sirhan
huge.
case. The phone's been ringing off the hook, and many of you know I've been involved in that case since the original parole back in August, and now the parole has been denied by the governor of California. Right. Okay. Thank you, Tenny. That was just really, really important.
Yeah, but they paid to say it, so we're good to go.
That's okay. It's not supposed to match, right? But anyway, I'm in Hollywood, honey. I'm not in corporate America. I'm in show business. I am Mort Saul of this show. Anyway, so we got the Sirhan thing. We're going to have to do this thing with Viva and Barnes, hopefully, and go over it because there's so much to go over with the parole and the Kennedys and the evil Kennedys, the good Kennedys, the fact that he's paroled 800 murderers except for this one guy because Kennedy was his hero. And the Kennedys kept calling him on the phone, the evil Kennedys.
And you have inside information that you're going to be dropping that you've been holding back this whole time. So people really want to hear that. This is exclusive stuff.
How hard is it, Eric? Because I know this must be a problem for them to subscribe to the channel.
There's this button down below. It's red.
So you're saying it's really difficult for these people to subscribe.
But make sure you hit the bell too, though. See, I'm going to add another test because
you got to hit the bell.
You not only do the subscribe, but hit the bell. But don't just hit the bell. You got to hold the bell and then say all. Otherwise, you won't get a notification. And I do get complaints a lot that they didn't get notified. If you want
me to wear different clothes, you're going to have to PayPal me so I can get different clothes because we're now doing. There's Tenny wants me to. Okay, thank you. I'll get a $5 shirt that matches my tie. Thank you. Because we're doing so many shows. Eventually, I'm going to exhaust my wardrobe. I hate to say this has been going on since October. I'm going to have to buy some crap, But I have some clothes in a bottle coming in this weekend from some of my costume department people in Hollywood. So we'll take a look and see if that fits.
All right,
I got wardrobe people trying to help me, bro.
Please subscribe. Yes. Please hit a like on your way out. Woo! Comment if you have something to say. We definitely want to hear it. We can't answer everything, but we do read every comment.
Follow me on Twitter at Lord Buckley also. That's really
and Getter, same thing.
And Getter, Lord Buckley, both of them. It's the same handle, but because I say the craziest crap on there that I can't say on this show. I'm surprised they haven't kicked me off.
Yeah, we're actually, if you don't like too crazy a crap, don't follow them.
Right.
Because you never know. You might get into.
So who got kicked off Twitter? Who was he saying got kicked off?
Bongino got kicked off YouTube.
Oh my! Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Off of YouTube or
YouTube, I guess. I don't know. I can't keep track. Twitter, YouTube, but everybody.
Right, but if we could get Locals going, we can have a buffer senator and be protected, is what you're saying, from being eliminated.
Yes, and I'm probably going to be releasing some exclusive extra interviewing on Locals. So we might have part of an interview here and then like the full interview on Locals. I'm working on setting those up right now about this case. So about this case, Baldwin.
Oh, the Baldwin case. Okay, right.
I'm trying to talk to some certain people involved and go a little bit deeper.
Right.
So,
Well, the
everybody-
Sirhan case, we're going to go really deep on that because
Oh,
then
for
we're going to
sure.
bring in the mind control experts afterwards. After we get past the legality of the parole, we're going to get back into the mind control and some of the coroner's report and stuff like that.
Yep. The really salacious Dottie stuff.
And don't forget, we still got to bring in Allison for the Elliot Smith
And
coroner's
Dr.
report.
Drew for Sock and Saban.
Right.
So there's so much coming.
I'm going to need some more jackets.
I'm going to need more rest.
This isn't really working out the way I planned. I was a guest, and now I'm a co-host on a show that's twice a week. I'm running out of material here.
All right. Well, for that, we need our rest. Everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
See you Friday.